Elections have always been a boost for the economy. Spending of candidates has been in the 5 elections since 1986. Since there is a law that puts a cap on how much every candidate spends in a campaign, is there a need to amend the current law? Joining us tonight on NewsLife is Congressman Fredinel Castro, Chairman of the House Committee on Electoral Reforms and Suffrage, author of a measure to amend Republic Act 7166, which requires candidates to declare their spending and their contributions. Good evening, sir, and welcome to NewsLife.
Good evening, Cathy.
Sir, what was your motivation behind this House bill that you filed?
Well, the existing law that allows a president and vice president with an expense or to spend 10 pesos per registered voter and 3 pesos for other candidates is already unrealistic. No? Of course, you don't have to go into CPI or you don't have to go to inflation rate, but by simply looking at the figure, what is 3 pesos now? What is 10 pesos now? And because of this, candidates after the election massage their statement of expenditure that will have to be reported to the Commission on Election as required by law. And therefore, it compels them to suppress or distort the that they will not exceed the cap provided by law. Otherwise, they face disqualification. Now, I think this is now the time that we should increase so as to avoid this distorted and suppressed reporting of expenditure. And more importantly, it is necessary that we amend the bill so that we do not encourage our winning candidates during the first day of their election to lie by reporting a suppressed or distorted statement of expenditures.
Sir, so from 3 pesos to from 3 pesos and 10 pesos, how much is your suggestion?
In accordance with the bill, it is our recommendation that President and Vice President should spend 50 and 35 respectively, whereas other candidates starting from senator and down will spend 30 pesos. That's our recommendation.
Sir, how do we level the playing field now? For example, there might be people who will be running for office who might not have as much political funding in comparison with others. Well,
whether we amend the law or not, if they don't have the money, even if the old law, they will not be able to spend that much. But I would like to stress, Cathy, that this bill does not compel the candidates to spend more. Second, it does not compel them to go up to the maximum. We only provide for the maximum so that it will not open the floodgates to multiple disqualification cases after the election.
Precisely, sir. Yesterday, the Comm made a statement that if an adjustment such as this can take place, then probably getting as much overspending cases reported to the Comm.
Yes, Cathy. And for your information, I would like to advise that now in the Comm there are 1,200 pending cases for disqualification. And according to my research, there will be more around 400, and therefore that will make 1,600 pending cases for disqualification because of overspending.
Sir, how do we track contributions? Because we've seen in the past elections that fundraising political campaigns have been going on left and right. How do we track and properly account all these?
Well, the COMELEC has the know-how to track the contributions or the money actually spent by candidates. And in fact, if you base it in the paraphernalia being used by a certain candidate, you will be able to have an idea whether he spends more than what the law provides.
So the paraphernalia is the less expensive part of the campaign process. How about TV advertisements?
Well, that could also be the... As a matter of fact, recently, without mentioning the name, simply by saying that he spent this much for television advertisement, he was disqualified by the Commission on Election. And in fact, the case was already appealed to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court sustained the disqualification.
How are your fellow lawmakers taking this proposed bill of yours?
Well, I think they're happy because they may not spend that much on the basis of the cap provided for by the amendatory law, but nonetheless they're happy because according to them it gives them enough elbow room, and they will not to lie after the election.
Sir, and what do you think is the biggest benefit of having this law passed before the 2016 elections?
Well, the biggest benefit is that, one, I said that it will not open the floodgates of having numerous or multiple disqualification cases in the Commission on Election. And more importantly, it will encourage our candidates to be more truthful and more faithful in presenting and reporting the expense that they incurred during the election.
Sir, aside from this bill that you are proposing in the House, another bill that is pending is the anti-dynasty bill. What do you think is do you think that this will have any bright future even before the filing of the candidacy?
Well, that will really depend on the perception as well as the acceptability of the bill among the members of the House of Representatives and even the Senate. And I hope that we are given the time to have this further deliberated and be presented for second reading in the House of Representatives. Cathy, the hearing for the budget, 2016 budget of the country is now, after the zone of the President, will have to be presented and heard in the House of Representatives. And therefore, that bill, the General Appropriation Act for 2016, will have to be given preference against all other proposed law or pending bills. But if the leadership, for example, and the members of the House would like to have this anti-political dynasty bill passed on second reading, then it has a good chance in going to the Senate, pass in the Senate.
Sir, should this bill be passed into law, how many % of our current leaders will be affected?
Well, under our original version, only one coming from a political family shall be allowed to run and hold public office without any right of succession, meaning right of succession that any relative within the second degree by affinity or consanguinity could immediately succeed the incumbent who was either retired or has become incapacitated. But under the consensus, I say consensus because it is being presented to be a substitute to the original version. Two coming from a political family may participate in the election or hold public office at the same time with right of succession. Therefore, in the original version, almost 68 to 70% of the members of the House of Representatives shall be affected.
Big percentage.
Whereas in the second version or the consensus version, more or less 65% shall be affected.
And speaking of that big percentage of those who will be affected, the Vice President personally challenged you about the anti-dynasty bill. What is your response?
Well,
to
I
this?
don't know whether the challenge is directed to me, and I don't know whether I deserve the honor of debating with the Vice President, being the second highest position of the land. But if I am compelled by necessity, considering that I am the chairman of the Committee on Suffrage and Electoral Reforms, and it is my obligation to defend the bill, as I did defending the bill from the very start to the end, then it is an honor to debate with the Vice President. And I think this is also important so as to enlighten our people, more or less, whether or not the country needs an anti-political dynasty law or not.
All right, and on that note, thank you very much, Congressman Fredinel Castro, the chairman of the Committee on Suffrage and Electoral Reforms. Thank you.
Thank you, Cathy. Good night.
Thank you.